bones are weak and I can't speak. Keep your heart under lock and key, or I'll try to capture it in your sleep. Spinning in circles while lying on the floor, your blood runs through my veins. Forgot how to dance now, forgot how to run. All I know now is the pain. And I'll dive head first into the thick of it. And I'm scratching and clawing in my skin. And I'll chase it down into the end. 'Cause breaking is easy, but I'm on the mend. And I'll send your mother flowers when she's feeling ill, and she'll watch you from the bottom of the bottle of pills. And we'll all dig our way out of the forest, but it's hard 'cause we never get a rest. And I'll dive head first into the thick of it, and I'm scratching and clawing at my skin. And I'll chase it down to the end. 'Cause breaking is easy.
I've had a lot of people in my life who suffer from anxiety and mental health, depression, and it's something we dance around as a society, as families. We don't really address it honestly. This is going to be something very powerful, and this is going to work on a deeper level than any of us realize. We don't know what this show is going to be, but this is going to be incredibly powerful. And it wasn't that I wanted to help, I needed to help. I needed to be involved in this.
My name is Joni OLSEN, and I'm here to open the floor this evening, clearing the energy and bringing good feelings to a really, really hard conversation. I have 3 parts to what I'm going to do this evening, and the first one is to welcome you all to the territory of the WSÁNEĆ people. Thousands of years of experience in caring and managing this land. We have in modern history experienced challenges with this relationship, and this makes tonight so relevant with the reconnection or the connecting project. But from a place of growing space of strength and reconnection, we welcome you all to our territory, the WSÁNEĆ territory. 2, I want to welcome you to the Connection Project, an evening that is valuable on so many levels. First, tackling complexities of mental illness, an area of life that can be very difficult to understand, that comes with many different faces and challenges, and that almost everyone on this planet has experienced or been touched by in some way or another. Tonight, we are given the opportunity to address some of these through different mediums, helping us decompress, release, and reconnect with our responsibility to ourselves and the people around us. And 3, I'm here to recognize my sister Emily, courageously facing fears and pushing through, fighting to find meaning in this crazy world, and identifying a place to be that is so necessary for our society, and all the efforts and outcomes have tremendous value. So with these words that I say, I welcome you, and with everything in my thankful heart, Hajka.
I bring this blanket on stage to start off the evening. Blankets symbolize so many things to me. I personally gave this blanket to my mom, and the day after I brought my daughter Ella home from the hospital, she gave it back to me. There's nothing more amazing than a mother's love, and I've been lucky to experience that from and to. And it's that type of love that I would like to bring here tonight. All your feelings, I hope that ones that are hard you can put into this blanket. I hope that your feelings that are sad and hard to face can be put into this blanket tonight. If anything is overwhelming for you tonight, know that you are loved and supported, and that can remain in this blanket tonight. And may you wrap each other with the love that this blanket represents. And my hope is that this blanket will transform this evening into one of hope, and that through sharing my story and through the others who are present on stage tonight, but also those who aren't necessarily able to be here, can feel wrapped in the love of a blanket of hope. I've been lucky and very fortunate this past year to have found hope finally. And so if it's true for me, then I know it can be true for you if you're somebody who suffers with mental health challenges. So I would like this blanket to be a place for you to just reflect on throughout the evening. And it will remain in this chair. And anybody who needs to be here tonight, you can just place yourself here and know that you're loved and protected. And that there is a profound amount of hope when we connect with each other. And also it's a representation of my love to all of you for showing up today and witnessing this very important work that has been a long time in the making. And I'm very proud of the people who have helped put this together. There's so many. So I welcome you to use the blanket if you need. And also if you want to add your own love and hope into the blanket, it's here for you. So that's going to remain here all night. Welcome to the Connection Project. Thank you for coming. I'm so blessed to have you here. A friend of mine would say, hey, welcome to my idea. This was an idea I had. And it involved people sitting in seats, coming and listening to some storytelling. And so thank you for being in my idea. I want to thank the people who traveled to come and support the people in this project. I want to thank the people who have gone before us. There was a beautiful eagle circling over my house today, and it made me very happy because we all have people who have gone before who I know probably get together and have tea or what have you and discuss how we're doing down here and gently nudging us in certain directions that we may have the strength and courage to go. So we'll get into it more, but tonight it's very important that we hold space for each other and love each other just that little bit more, because I sure have felt it in doing this project. Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Hall.
Depression is no fantasy, more like a thriller, an overly creepy, unsolvable mystery, a dark and twisted comedy by the worst writer in history. Depression, the movie. Yeah, not a fan. Starts out all rom-com predictable, and as the heroine, I was pretty capable. Then snap, scene change, plot twist. I am crying, showers and razors, random sex with strangers, alcohol, trying to numb, trying to feel anything but this pain inside. Medications, declarations, I'm trying to hide. The darkness falls, I'm climbing the walls with questions and judgments, self-abuse, constant feelings of what's the use. No end of scene to rescue me, no that's a wrap. Just voices screaming, whispering, teasing, taunting. Not even Hitchcock and his birds can top this haunting. A non-stop action, all fights and explosions. Or the ultimate drama, too many emotions, out of control, the writer, my mind. Running lines of self-hate and shame. The plot is gone, taking my sanity along. The credits start rolling. Failure, worthless, ugly, stupid, unloved. You will never be good enough. The marquee flashing, just give up. I look to my castmates for help. I'm reaching, seeking understanding. All I get back is confusion and questions, judgments and useless fix-it suggestions. It's not that bad. Merely a montage, showing only the bad scenes. Others have it worse. Get out of your head. Why don't you cut? Let's do a character building exercise. Maybe then you'll see what this is doing to me. All night, every day, this character I'm forced to play. Close your eyes, repeat after me. I am nothing. I am useless. I am a failure. Now pick your worst fear, most horrific nightmare. Relive it over and over. Replay every scene in slow motion. Make sure to feel every emotion. Over and over until you scream, are afraid to dream. Once again, repeat after me. I wish I was dead, if only to silence the voices in my head. I wish I was dead. Their lives would be better if I was gone. I'm better off dead. I wish I was dead. I wish I was dead. I wish I was. Now stop. Open your eyes. See? No ghosts. Listen. Silence. That's the difference. You can strike the set when you realize it's wrong, erase the scene like it never was, and simply move on. I am forced to carry on, because depression, my friends, is the horror film that never ends. Yeah! When you invited me to do the Connection Project, I 100% didn't want to. Absolutely no fucking way in the world was I getting on a stage by myself. No, was not in front of that. Nope, did it once, I'm good. But this voice in my head said, just do it. Just trust your gut, just do it. And so I did. And leading up to it, listening to that poem over and over and over again, and going back to that place, which, oddly enough, constantly revisiting that helped me get past it. But leading up to the event, I also sort of fell into a bit of a depression that I hadn't been in for a while. And I couldn't shake it. I couldn't get out of it. And as much as I haven't been able to even look at that poem since, that poem also helped me make through. And since the Connection Project, it's just reaffirmed my desire to never stop growing and to never stop trying and to never stop stepping out of my comfort zone and just keep stretching it and just see exactly how far it will go. And to accept the gifts and opportunities. When somebody hands you a gift, you take it. Somebody pays you a compliment, whether you believe it or not, accept it. Because it eventually will change the way you think about yourself. And you get stronger every single time, and you can remind yourself, I survived hell, I can survive it again.
In my research for the Connection Project, I found some illustrations by British cartoonist Ella Barron in The Guardian magazine. The series was in response to the university mental health crisis. After connecting with Ella, I was given permission to show her images as part of our production. Ocean Johnston read quotes which inspired these images.
There's a claustrophobia about student life. You work and eat and drink and dance and sleep together. It gives everything a painful intensity. But living back to back can leave you feeling so alone. I hate hearing the music coming through my neighbor's wall. I remember doing my laundry when I was really down, and it took me 4 hours just to get off my chair. That's the thing with depression, the absence of the person who you really are. Sometimes I'd get the sense that my younger self would be disappointed. Every day I relapse a little. It depends on who I'm with or the color of the sky. I set myself little to-do lists. Go for cake with Mum, make myself a snakes and ladders board, turn the voices in my head into cartoon villains. But the question is, how can we become world leaders if we don't even think we deserve full-fat yogurts? I see going to sleep as a logical problem that I can strain to solve, but I forget that this is when sleep is the most difficult. Before going to sleep, I'd plan my whole day in 5-minute intervals. The routine helped counter the illogical nature of anxiety. It gave me something stable to follow. When I first got bad depression, I stopped playing the violin. Instead, I watched 6 series of Dance Moms. I saw 1 episode and thought it was just shit. Then I watched the next 119 hours. I occupied myself with inane things that took repetition, knitting, weaving bracelets, baking. Focusing on these simple physical activities was easier than confronting whatever the fuck was going on in my head. Sometimes I feel small, like only the very smallest piece of a Russian doll. The outer shells are always smiling, even if I'm not. You're going to feel like you're drowning, and if you're not, then you're doing it wrong. That's what my tutor says to her undergraduates at the beginning of their degree. We were brought up breathing the internet. Why go to the library when all the articles are online? Who wants to go clubbing when Tinder can find you the perfect one-night stand? Who even needs real friends? It's like the panic is so overwhelming, there's no room for anything else. Like you're unfolding. I developed a habit of having a panic attack before every essay deadline. My friend used to joke that he'd wear his comfy jumpers on those days, because when it started, he'd just hug me until it was over. Five days before her birthday, my cousin overdosed on her bipolar medication. She used to call me a lot. I didn't call her a lot. I got a missed call from her half an hour after she took it. After she died, Facebook was full of statuses about her, and a week later, it wasn't. I just thought, how is it not all about her? Her death became the thing my life revolved around. But I've realized how differently I think about it now. It's like the grief is a weight tied to me by a string that is breaking as time moves on.
As the person who edited the sound recordings and the audio, when I went back to my studio, which is a 10 by 10 room, and I've got the sound right in my ear, right in the cans in my head. Yeah, it was interesting. To be honest, I focused mostly on the musical performances because, for one, OLSEN absolutely blew my mind, and everything about her performance, the tentative, placement of her fingers on the strings at the beginning, and the way her voice wobbled and when it cracked, everything about it was absolutely perfect.
I want to thank you all again for coming and for Emily for asking me to speak. Diving into my mental health journey, I think I became aware that this was something that I was going to have to learn how to manage when I was about 13. I was walking to class like any other day, and I had my first panic attack. And of course, at the time, I just thought that I was losing my mind. I thought I was gonna die. I was losing sense of who I was and where I was, and it was just the most terrifying thing for little kid me to deal with. So the year following that event was some of the darkest, most confusing, difficult times I've been through. Since then, though, that darkness, or however you want to think of it, has manifested in a lot of different ways, involving just sadness, fear, guilt, doubt, confusion, anger, frustration, disappointment, loneliness, all of that getting mixed into how I understand who I am and how I can relate and connect to others. If we fast forward to now, though, I am my 4th year at UVic, going into psychology. What a surprise. And I want to go into counseling in the next couple of years. So that has been a big thing for me. And I want to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned in the past couple of years, especially, that have really helped me on the days that are not so great. The first, being a really obvious one that I'm sure all of you can get behind considering you're here, is just talking about it. Being open and vulnerable is really hard for a lot of different reasons. For me, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to make people worry. I don't want to seem like I don't have it put together, because I really try to, even though I don't most of the time. But I've spent so many nights feeling so alone, and I don't have to. The next thing I want to talk about is especially important for me as a student, and it's dealing with productivity on the days that are not so good. Those days I am not my normal self. It's like everything good in me is sucked away, and that includes any motivation, any creativity, any ability to focus or think clearly. It's just not there. So something that has helped me is just trying to get just one thing done. So maybe I'm not able to work on the essay that's due next week, but I can read a chapter of a textbook. And that completing goals that I set for myself, it's like a little win for me, like, yay, read a page, I get to go back to bed. I did such a good job today. But some days that's all that you can do. So setting really attainable goals, and then when you meet them, you feel great. Which leads me to my last thing, which has been the most important and difficult lesson that I'm learning, and that is to just not be so hard on yourself. And I would say this is by far the hardest thing for me. It's so easy as someone that has a lot of goals and has things I want to do, and I put a lot of pressure on myself. So it's easy for me to get frustrated with myself and disappointed in my situation and how I'm feeling. But I've been trying to think of it as I will apply the same compassion to myself that I would to, say, my best friend if they had the same things going on. And it's so much easier said than done, but trying to fight all the negative thoughts in me with love and acceptance, and just accepting that I'm gonna have a bad day today is really important. So having said all that, I have so much left to learn. Do not think of myself as like a healed person or someone that like this is something in my past. I foresee my journey with myself to be continuing on. And I'm excited to learn more and to become someone that can help others on their journey to help themselves. So I want to thank you all again for coming and hearing me. And with that, I am going to play for you guys a song. I wrote this when I was in first year, so it came out of a lot of dark places, but I do think it carries a message of hope. The song is called Mend. Keep your guns away from me, 'cause my bones are weak and I can't speak. Keep your heart under lock and key, or I'll try to capture it in your sleep. Spinning in circles while lying on the floor, your blood runs through my veins. Forgot how to dance now, forgot how to run. All I know now is the pain. And I'll dive head first into the thick of it. And I'm scratching and clawing at my skin. And I'll chase it down until the end. 'Cause breaking is easy, but I'm on the mend. And I'll send your mother flowers when she's feeling ill, and she'll watch you from the bottom of the bottle of pills. And we'll all dig our way out of the forest, but it's hard 'cause we never get a rest. And I'll dive head first into the thick of it. And I'm scratching and clawing at my skin. And I'll chase it down till the end. 'Cause breaking is easy, but I'm on the mend. Oh, your shadow's never been this big. And no, your mother's never been this angry. Oh, no, the blanket's never been this heavy. Holding you down, keeping you in. And I'll dive head first into the thick of it. And I'm scratching and clawing at my skin. And I'll chase it down to the end. 'Cause breaking is easy, but I'm on the mend. And I'll dive head first into the thick of it. And I'm scratching and clawing at my
I've felt the heavy hand of mental illness for many years now, friends and family. And it's something that is not always comfortable to speak about. And when I went to the event, I was pleasantly surprised how open I was to listening, to feeling what all these people were experiencing, and just being more open to it, because for years I have been not acknowledging a lot of the mental illness in my circle. And the event, once I was there, was a revelation. And to be able to witness the people, the brave people on stage, telling their stories, and being able to relate that to my own personal experience in life, it got me to really understand that there isn't enough talk about mental illness. People are feeling alone, and people who have people with mental illness in their lives may not acknowledge that as much as they should. And it was just a very deep experience for myself to make that connection between people who are suffering and the people that are around them and love them. So my reason for being there in the end, again, it was to support you, Emily, in what you were doing, but I am extremely glad I went.
Hello. How you guys doing? Nice to see you all here. Emily, I have a problem. You asked me to come and talk, but you didn't say there was going to be people. I said yes, pretty quick. Do you guys want to try something with me? Yes? Was that a yes? Was that a firm yes? Okay, let's try this. All right, first thing we're gonna do, everybody just relax. Put your hands down, uncross your fingers. I can see you, I'm watching. Okay? Let's all just take one deep breath together. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Take a nice deep one and feel the air coming in through your nostrils. I want to ask you to close your eyes with me. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Breathe in. Breathe. And breathe out. In. And out. Clear your mind. Forget about everything. Feel relaxed? Calm. And one more deep breath. Breathe into your nose. Out through your mouth. Okay. The very first time that I ever had a panic attack, my wife and I had just walked out of Roger's video. Just stepping out the door. And all of a sudden I turned beet tomato red. And I told my wife, who's here, I said, let's get in the car right now. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I'm rushing her into the car. As soon as we got in the car, I drove like an absolute animal. I was going down Bay Street at about 140, and I was blowing through red lights because I had made the decision, I'm not gonna fucking die in the car, period. I'm gonna make it to the emergency. I'm not dying in the car, because I was convinced, 100% convinced that I was having a heart attack. My father had a quadruple bypass at 31, and I was 34. So this was my time. This was it. It was happening. And as I walked through the door at emergency, and my wife was probably almost having a coronary herself, I started tunnel vision, and I was falling forward and whatever. And the doctors, they're on me, and they've got all the stuff on me because I'm almost collapsing now. And I said to the doctor, am I having a heart attack? He's like, I don't know yet. You don't know yet. He's like, well, you're not, but your heart rate is insane. I've never seen anything like it. And that was the first time that I was, not invincible, that I couldn't control what was happening. And the reason why I wanted you guys to take a deep breath with me and relax and let it all out is because what I've proven to myself in the past little while is that you can control yourself with your mind. You can. As we took those deep breaths together, we relaxed and we let go. And the physicality of clearing your mind and taking the time can bring you somewhere else, and you can feel who you are. I didn't learn my lesson the first time. And I went back right to my routine. I was working 125 hours a week, or every 2 weeks, whatever. It was ridiculous. I was working in a super high stressful job. And the second time, I knew it was coming, but I couldn't stop it. Exactly the same feeling. And I stopped. That's when I stopped from life. I took a break. And my wife supported me. And then I started searching for answers. Why is this happening to me? Why am I having panic attack, anxiety attacks, or whatever? So I looked into my life. And my life is pretty fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty interesting. I lived with a murderer. I lived with a drug dealer. Those were my mother's husbands, 2 of the 4. And then I started to think to myself, because all of that was okay with me. That's where I grew up. That's how I was. And for some person that maybe didn't get a really great pair of shoes, maybe that was traumatizing for them. So that's not it. It can't just be the trauma, because everybody's got their own story. And the more that I get into my story, the story just goes on. It never ends. It never ends. So I have to change the narrative. So I had to look further on what I could do differently. And it's taken a long time. But I believe that we're all in it together. And this is the human condition. And the more that I look at things as the human condition, the more things make sense. I spent 20 years of my life working with mentally disabled people, dual diagnosis mentally disabled that were super aggressive. I never once said, yeah, this is Joe Blow, he's Down syndrome, oh, he's this. No, that's not it. This person has their own issues, I have my own issues. That is the human condition. We are all human, we're all here together. And when I started looking at myself that way, and started thinking about it, that it's everything around you and everything that you're doing that maybe is getting you there, but maybe it's what you're not doing. Maybe it's that you're not taking the time to change the narrative. Most important thing I could ever tell a human being, whatever works for you and you know what it is, do more of that. Go find what it is and do more of it, because you will feel better. You will feel better. My anxiety is crazy. It's absolutely insane. Anxiety is what I have. I have really bad anxiety, crippling anxiety. How can I get up here and do this? Because right now I'm in control. I have the mic and you have to listen to me. I'm in control, I'm fine. It's okay. When I'm not in control, that's when it's a problem. And I'm a creative person. And most people that deal with, really heavy duty clinical depression and anxiety and stuff are creative people. And if you feed the creative you, the crazy you just comes down a little bit, or just enough to give you that break where you can breathe. And I think the more and more and more that I treat myself that way, the more I feel better. If I can take my energy and push it towards something, whether it's wonderfully artistic or not, it doesn't matter. It's the fact of I'm not building stories in my head anymore, I'm building stuff outside of my head. Because if I'm not creative, I can make the most unbelievable stories. And I kid you not, I was in San Diego, California one time. I was absolutely 100% convinced that helicopters were following me. If you've ever been to California, there's about 5 to 15 high-speed chases a day with helicopters, all day long, and never ends. I was convinced at one point in time they're following me because I got a creative brain. What the hell did I matter? I was 21 years old in the middle of a city of how many people, When Emily asked me to do this, I said yes, because it's an automatic. It's just yes. That's probably anxiety. You don't say no. Somebody asks you a question, oh yeah, fuck, I'm in, yeah, for sure. So then I had to sit back and I had to think to myself, what is the reasoning? So the reasoning that I'm doing this is, maybe if I can tell somebody, maybe if people understand that Everybody has some kind of thing, and it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Things are all different. We're all different. But those things are all okay, and we're all okay if we want to be. Even if we don't want to be, we're still going to be okay. We're all right. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you listening to me. And I'm thankful that I can stand here with the anxiety that I have, not creating any stories looking at you, because I'm letting it all out. And I feel better. And I feel good. And every single one of us can. We can make a decision. We can make a choice. We find those things that we like and we follow them. And you push yourself. And you never, ever let anybody tell you no. I've been told no so much in my life, I don't even know. I didn't know there wasn't a word no. You know, I was so injured last year, I had 5 doctors tell me that I would never heal the problem that I had, pretty much. But I did. And it's okay. And we're all gonna be okay. So, I wanna thank you guys for coming. I wanna thank you for listening to me. And just so you know, it's a proven fact that 70% of our thoughts are redundant and negative. So you've already got something against you. It doesn't matter who you are. It's a proven fact. 70% of the human thought is redundant and negative. Remember that. It's not you. It's just your head. And you can control it if you want to. Anyways, I thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Take care.
For sure, I felt that my family had been expanded, for sure. I really love the people that you brought together. It's very profound experience for me to be able to be who I am and also to feel safe with that group of people. It's really lovely. Like something that I didn't realize, but I think through the Connection Project, just realizing that there's a spectrum of bipolar, and I think I've actually got the best part of bipolar in me, that, you know, I have high energy and I can direct it when I need to work, and then rest. When I'm exhausted, just finish, rest. I can see those patterns in myself, and I really appreciate how that has played in my life in a helpful way.
So, you know, that's what really made me realize that, you know, the strength of everybody and the strength of the way they were communicating was, and it's not always asking for help. I was talking to some of the performers after, and I was like, you know what, this is really a success story. You know, getting up and saying something and being vulnerable and, you know, telling your story isn't always about, I had this struggle, I need help. It was like, look what I've accomplished. I'm able to create my artwork. I'm able to live a functioning life. I'm able to live a well-balanced life through these vehicles that I'm using. And it was just so wonderful to see everybody find what was in their truth, find what was in, you know, their universe to help them beat whatever mental challenges they were feeling and whatever they're going through.
Well, I mean, I saw this thing evolve right from the very beginning. I saw and felt the various iterations of it as it went. And so for me, what I take away from it is I've got this beautiful partner that has undergone tremendous growth in her life, and just it's not really looking back for me, it's looking forward as to what the next thing is and what the next opportunity is and what the next phase of growth will be. And so for me, I will reflect back on this period of change, but I look forward to the result of this change and what that will mean going forward.
Living on a remote island on the West Coast feels like house arrest. Rain come in from the north, hell, rain come in from all directions and every place in between. I begin to see what I'm made of. But like cardiac arrest, heart pressed against my chest aches with the feeling that I've been forgotten, left behind to fend for myself. I really just need a life vest. Because it won't stop raining, and I can't make sense of the voices in my head. I'm so lonely you left. I'm questioning how it is that the only thing I've left is that I detest myself, that I somehow deserve this, that I'm somehow destined for this. I cling to the moment we're together again, trying to find that peace again, never at peace in the moment, always. One day soon, if only, I just gotta. All I need to do is get dressed, just get out of bed. When you left, so did part of my flesh. A sisterhood like a lung. I'm suffocating from the emptiness around me. You're my blanket, my comfort, my soft cocoon against life's hardened shell. Now I'm naked, exposed. I gotta think for myself, tie my own shoes, as if I can't do that simple task without you. Figure out who the hell I am, and it keeps on raining. My shoes are wet, soaked through. They say, everything happens for a reason. One day you'll see. All I see is how much rain seeps through my shoes. I can't outrun that. My soul falling through and out my shoes. It's gumboots now. They'll slow me down. Somehow. Watch your step. It's slippery at low tide. I walk into town every day to check the mail, a package, a letter, anything from you. I walk into town every day to break the monotony of my thoughts, and the gumboots slow me down. You probably forget how wet it is here when it rains, and the fog in my head is me, searching to learn who the hell I am without you. The gumboots slow me down because to get into town, it's the beach at low tide or Cardiac Hill. I'm already climbing hills every day, climbing hills to wash my face, climbing hills to wash my face before I face another day of rain. If I'm lucky, I'll catch a low tide and my gumboots will slow me down. 'Cause it's slippery on those rocks. You've probably forgotten. The seaweed, barnacles, salt water, kelp. Washed up on the beach, thick, rubbery, impenetrable. Like my heart. I want to find it, but I can't break through the noise of I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. What's that, Raven? Oh, you know. You know what I feel? I know. I know. And now Raven follows me to town every day. Raven follows me. Raven hops along trees, cedar to hemlock, hemlock to fir, fir to alder. And suddenly, I'm noticing trees. The click-clack of gumboots when I'm running late, careful not to slip, stay off the rocks with their kelp. And now I've got Raven, and we're a team. I hardly even notice you're gone anymore. I hardly even notice the rain. Just me and Raven.
I really broke down hearing your story, Emily, because it's my story. Seeing your presentation really made me acknowledge just how alone I felt. And also maybe starting to understand how that has affected my life. Because when I was 21, I was very suicidal. And I don't feel like I ever really fixed that, because I still have those thoughts of things would just be better if I weren't here. And that's exactly what you were sharing. And to understand that it's okay, and that I don't need to be ashamed of that. And I don't need to try and figure it out.
One thing that struck me was when Ian was speaking, his journey, as an adult male, and showing the vulnerability there, really made me feel like I could open up.
In the process of writing out the story, I remember very clearly I was sitting in my car next to a restoration site in the passenger seat, typing away on my laptop and typing furiously. The words were just flooding out of me. And I realized that was indicative of the fact that I really did have stories to tell and I needed to tell them. The stories from the others and how they affected me and how these normal seeming, friendly, successful, loving people not only identified as having mental health challenges, but were willing to come out and talk about it. And the courage and the bravery, I thought, was inspiring to me.
So I want to share with you really quick opening lyrics of a song that meant a great deal to me when I was 16 years old. It's by a band named Linkin Park. Some of you may have heard of that band. And the opening lines of the song go like this. Crawling in my skin, these wounds, they will not heal. Fear is how I fall, confusing what is real. I listened to that for the first time in the year 2000. I was 16 years old, and for the first time I thought, wow, that actually speaks to me and what I'm feeling. I can relate to that in such a profound way because I really do feel, and actually OLSEN sang it brilliantly, I do feel like I'm crawling within my skin, and I felt like this for so long. And there was this dark cloud that was kind of hanging over me for so long. I couldn't really figure out what it was. What was this thing that I was feeling, that I was experiencing? And at 16 years old was the first time I considered truly taking my own life. It was a hard realization to come to, but it was after a considerable amount of time of kind of being in this dark place and worrying through a lot of things. Those of us who have a mental illness, whether it's depression, anxiety, panic disorder, we spend a lot of time in our own heads, constantly thinking about things, churning over things. And I think it all really started, I first started feeling like I wasn't myself when I was 6, 7 years old. My parents had just divorced, and I was really struggling to find my place. My stepdad had come into my life very soon after the divorce, and things just didn't feel right. I felt out of place familially. Familially, is that a word? Yeah, familially, right? And I felt out of place, like things weren't quite fitting, but it was more than that. It was a headspace. I could never quite find that happiness that I thought I should have. Now, I was an only child growing up in a very privileged background. I had everything I ever could have wanted. I wanted a video game, I got it. I wanted new shoes, I got it. I wanted to play the latest sports, which were sure to tear up, clothes and shorts and whatever it was, and I got that. I was very, very lucky and very fortunate. And yet with all of that, I was still not happy. And maybe it was youthful angst, or maybe it was just me growing into myself, or maybe it was, as some kids would tell me, you're just an unhappy kid. Yeah, sometimes, but not always the case. And I began to think more and more about myself and how I existed in this space. And as I became a teenager, it started to make me angry. Really angry, a rage built inside me, and I would lash out at parents, at friends, family, you name it, because I didn't feel right. I felt, why am I in this place as a teenager with all of these wonderful, amazing things happening to me, so dismally unhappy? Why is this black cloud hanging over me and I can't get rid of it no matter what I do? Couldn't pray it away, couldn't think it away, couldn't happy it away. I remember one time one person said, why can't you just be happy? right? Like that's so easy to do for some people who are experiencing a mental health issue. Just be happy. Yeah, I wish it was that easy. I grew and I grew and it never got better, and the anger got worse and the rage got worse. And then I became an adult, graduated out of high school. Did okay. I mean, I was a mediocre student, let's be honest. I wasn't like an all-star out there celebrating my, straight A's and, scholarships and all that. I was mediocre at best, but I still got into university and started planning out the trajectory of my life. I was going to be a teacher. And 22 hit, and things got black. I mean, really black. And I thought I thought, I know I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my own life because I don't belong here. And I'll make it better for everybody else who has to suffer through the shit that I'm putting them through, because it's going to be a better place without me. And at 22, I remember driving home. I remember this day as clear as anything. I drove home from school. I was living out of my grandparents' place. They're snowbirds, so they flew to the south because apparently it's too cold in Canada. And I got home, I went to the kitchen, got a knife, and I sat on the living room in my grandfather's place, and I just kind of sat there. And I remember the feeling that came over me. I remember it really well. It was relief. It was not glee, but it was true relief. Because I found here I have something that I can do. I can solve the problem. I'm going to make it better. And there was a moment, and I'm telling you, it was just a moment where I thought, I don't want to do this. So I called my partner at the time. She's been with me for 14 years. And I said, Stephanie, you've got to get here. I'm sitting on the floor of Otto's place, and I'm going to kill myself. I'm ready to go, and I'm going to do it. You need to get over here now. She was only 5 minutes away, and I don't think she's ever driven so fast in her life. And she got there. She came and she sat down with me, and we talked. Felt like hours. We talked and we talked about life, about where I was, about how things didn't fit, and all those things. And I said, okay, it's time to do something about this. Seek help, medication, whatever it is to get me back on the right track, on the right path. And 11 years went by after that point. I'm 34 now. Wait, 11 years, 12 years. Wasn't a math student, guys. And still, am I still wrong? My math's still bad? It's all good. So I'm 34 now, and it took a long time to kind of progress through that after medication, and I'm still on medication to this day. And I tell you, for some people, medication is absolutely not the right thing, and I agree with that. For me, if it weren't for medication, I wouldn't be here today. And I take it every day, and I take it knowing I'm probably going to take it for the rest of my life, but I'm okay with that, right? Like, I understand that. So I've got this quote up here from Lady Gaga, okay? Lady Gaga, this is a solid quote. I learned that my sadness never destroyed what was great about me. You just have to go back to that greatness. Find that one little light that's left. I'm lucky I found one little glimmer stored away. And I found that glimmer. And I focused on that good thing. And Jeff mentioned it. Find that thing that you really like. Chase that. Make that thing what you center yourself around. And I did that. And for a while it worked. For me, it was politics. Because I'm a political cat. And I liked politics for a while. And it was good. It actually got me moving here to the island. But after a while, I found myself mired in a toxicity. It was ugly, and it made me ugly all over again. An ugliness that I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. And it was almost like I was outside of myself watching it. What's happening? What have I become? So I had to take a big step back, re-examine myself, and realize, oh my gosh, I'm still struggling. Still having these mental health issues, these crises, these problems, and they're still present in my life. Well, the medication clearly hasn't done it. I mean, it's part of it. It balanced me off, and it gave me a place where I can go further. but there's relationships involved. Because I moved here to the island and it was just me and my partner. We really hadn't developed much in the way of engaging relationships with others. It's kind of hard when you're from somewhere else and coming somewhere new. I don't know if you know the island very well. You're kind of cliquey here, just a little bit. Love you still, but you're a little cliquey. And so eventually I gained some really good friendships, but I realized I had to pull myself away. So there's just another song I want to put by your guys' heads. Again, Linkin Park. This is like apparently my thing, Linkin Park. The song's called Heavy, and the chorus goes like this. I'm not going to sing, don't worry. I'm just going to say it to you. I'm holding on. Why is everything so heavy? I'm holding on so much more than I can carry. Keep dragging around what's bringing me down. If I could just let go, I'd be set free. The album that song came off of was released May 14th, 2017. 2 months later, the lead singer took his life. Whether it's him, his name is Chester Bennington, whether it's Chris Cornell, name of another famous rock star who also took his life, whether it's Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, my 17-year-old cousin, we've all been engaged in suicide in some way, shape, or form, and it's touched us in different ways. And I guess what I just want to say is what we're dealing with, mental illness, mental health problems, mental health challenges, it's not new. It's not even unfamiliar. We've all been touched in some way, shape, or form. They say by the age of 40, 1 in 2 people will be experiencing a mental health or addictions issue at some point in their life. The frightening statistic that scares me is that those 15 to 25 are more likely to experience a mental health issue or addictions issue than any other age group, 15 to 25, which is what got me more involved in politics. Now I'm running for school board in School District 61 because I want to champion mental health issues, because it's important to me that we have someone talking about mental health issues, because I know my experience matters, because I know what I lived through, what I still live through today means something and that it matters. And because there's people here like Emily who care so much about this issue and so much about what we're dealing with, that she puts on an event like this, invites everybody out to hear from us. So here I am talking to you, exposing my innermost fears, my innermost anxiety to you. Trust me, being up here, my heart's racing right now. And all I really want to say is think a little bit about how we engage with people. Language is so, so powerful. I was in the market the other day buying some food, and this woman was taking out some change, and she put too much change on the counter, and she said, I'm so OCD. I was like, no, sorry, honey, you're not. You're not. Like, real OCD is like a real thing. Like, it's a real thing people live with, and you getting some change wrong, that's not OCD. So I want, there's a bit of a music theme here. I just want to run one more lyric by you. And it's inspired me and it keeps me going to this day. And it's by that renowned philosopher, Shawn Mendes. You know who Shawn Mendes is? See, I can be current. And the song, you've probably heard it, In My Blood. Yeah, I'm sure. Good. And the chorus is brilliant. Help me. Feels like the walls are caving in. Sometimes I feel like giving up, but I just can't. Isn't in my blood. And that's why we're here today, because it's not in our blood to give up, because we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep talking about these issues because they matter, because there's other people out there who are still quiet, who are still afraid to talk about what they are living through, because stigma is still a thing. And we need to talk about it so it's not a thing. Nobody should be afraid to say, I have a mental illness. I am Ryan Painter, and I have a mental illness. Nobody should be afraid to talk about that. And I'm not afraid, and I'm not giving up, because it's not in my blood. Thank you.
I'm not helping as much as I could by not being active in my support for the people close to me who need it. There's two choices, really, as I see it. We've got one option to acknowledge yet avoid, or acknowledge and step forward, step to the issues. Because if we don't help those people who are close to us, who love us, who we love, then they suffer in silence.
And it's like we have these invisible war medals on our chest. One of my sisters has mentioned this. She talks about the invisible war medals we have, and I know that we all recognize one another when we meet. We recognize those invisible war medals, and we appreciate one another because we know what it's like to move through the world like we're moving in molasses all the time. And so this opportunity provided me a safe place to celebrate what we walk through, because it actually, if you're walking through molasses every day, you're building an amazing amount of strength. And to look at things in a different kind of a light, to not look at what I have to struggle with as a disability or a mental illness, even though some people might frame it in that way. It's more looking at it in terms of what is my reality and what are other people doing to cope and what are other people walking with. There is absolutely no shame in being who we are. We are perfect as we are at this time, tomorrow, tonight, next week. We're perfect in every moment of every day. And I wish that we could see ourselves the way Creator sees us, because we would understand that we are perfect, just as we are.
There's a fire within, sister. There's a fire inside. It can sanctify or burn you alive. The fire inside. The fire inside. The fire inside. the ball.